Hey, boys and girls. Weather report for March 4th, 2022. How about that?
That's great, man. It's
Yeah.
Friday. One thing, it's Friday.
It's
Everybody out there
Friday.
wants to have a nice, relaxing weekend.
Shit show Friday. It's 37 degrees out.
It's
Heat
the day
wave.
they made a song about or something.
I've
A
been to
song
the
about
beach.
what? Shit Show Friday?
Yeah.
No, just Friday. Or never mind. I failed.
Okay, you did fail. Anyway, I have something for you, Andrew.
Okay.
Let's see if you can hear this first of all.
Okay.
Because that's going to help if you can hear it.
Talk to you about stereoisomers.
Can you?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Oh, okay, good.
Especially enantiomers and diastereomers.
He knows a lot about the science stuff. Professor Dave explains.
So we're probably familiar with the term isomerism. And
Where you're going to get copyright for this?
Are, but there's different kinds.
Am I?
And we
I don't
may
think he does
recall
that.
what structural isomers are. Structural isomers are molecules that contain the same molecular formula, but differ in connectivity. In other words, the same number of the same types of atoms, but connected differently.
Right.
Oh, I remember this.
Yeah, different structure. And then for basically the DNL enantiomers, they call them, the stereo stuff. You can see on the bottom here that if you have 4 different groups hooked to the carbon, which is at the center of that little spider thing, right? Okay. Then one of them can be a mirror image of the other, and there's no way to twist them around so that they would exactly be the same. So there's 2 different things. And I linked this in the description if you want to watch it. It does a really good job of explaining the stereoisomer thing.
Okay.
He shows and he shows his hands, as an example, because your hands are a perfect example of something you can't. There's no way that you can put your hands on top of each other and make them match. You can just.
Oh, is this because the other day I was asking about amino acids?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's why I looked that up. So
enantiomeric.
Anyway, so
I appreciate it. Speed.
Yeah, I thought you might like that.
I wonder if whenever like you see a baby who's reached the stage to where he notices his hands, if he's kind of or she is kind of noticing that same thing, but doesn't know how to say anything about it. Just like
all the million things a baby might realize but can't speak about.
Exactly.
Right. So Stephen Colbert last night did in his monologue did a wonderful thing about babies, and he was like, they find their hands, for the first time. It's like, what are these? You didn't tell me about these. And then they're like, num, 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 and they try to eat them, and they're just like, and it's like, there's 2 of them. Yeah, there's 2 of them. And it's like
there's nothing like the sight of a baby trying to put its whole hand in its mouth. Right. That's just interesting.
And remember, kids, you did that once too.
Yep.
That's true. It's something we can all share.
Yeah.
Marvin Minsky, I have a really good. He did an MIT course. He did I think 12 lectures on MIT, and he did a wonderful. He has this wonderful way of explaining all the things you have to learn in order to figure out that you have hands, and that space and time and all of that stuff. And it's really cool. He's got he works in artificial intelligence. And he's humorous. He's really slow. It's like listening to paint dry, because he was like in his 90s. I think he just died recently. And he's a pretty cool guy. But he said something. He said to the kids, he was making fun of neuroscience, and then he said to his students, he said, I'm not telling you not to take neuroscience courses. Go ahead and take them, but not to learn anything, but to help them out. In other words, teachers how to think, because he was pushing back on a number of things in neuroscience and cognitive neuroscience, particularly because, and he had some wonderful ideas. I mean, he is just really underrated. And then he got involved with, he was friends with Epstein. So posthumously, he got into trouble over that shit. But I'm sure he was like an old man. I'm pretty sure he wasn't involved in the crap.
What do you need?
Anyone that went near Epstein got a black eye.
Who's Epstein?
He was basically a child molester, billionaire child molester who thought he could get away with it because he was rich. He ended up hanging himself in his cell because he didn't get away with it. And Bill Gates and a whole bunch of celebrities had basically hung out with him at one point or another, and they all got into trouble. So anybody that even got by that guy's house ended up blacklisted. And unfortunately, Minsky had some bad rep from that, but Minsky was an all right guy. Yes, and he did one of the most important pieces on artificial intelligence, I think, in the history of mankind. So he's very much worth listening to and understanding. I like him.
I can tell.
Yeah, I like him a lot. He wrote Society of the Mind and Emotion Machine and a few other books back in the day. And he also got into trouble because he made a prediction that we were going to have conscious, intelligent, human-like robots by 1990, I think. And of course, that was just way over.
Yeah, he was very optimistic. But remember, we were all expecting flying cars by
1980. Yeah. When I was a kid, they showed 1980 flying cars.
And look at the vision of the movie. Harrison Ford, Blade Runner. Look at its vision of 2020.
Yep.
So there are a lot of people that missed it. It's not just him.
Yeah.
No.
Oh. Go ahead. You were going to say?
Oh, I was saying no. Never mind.
Oh, no. Oh, anyway, it's the first Friday of the month, so I have to do a 30-second test of my copyright protection system.
Oh dear.
If you guys don't mind, so I'm just going to...
Sure, go ahead. I need to put earmuffs on?
I don't think so.
I need to put like those sound blocking earplugs in?
Yeah, it's going to be screechy.
What am I watching?
Some really good stuff on evolution. That's a test of my copyright protection system. Anyway, we'll see what happens.
That wasn't as painful as I was expecting.
I like that. Have I linked that in the description? Because everybody should listen to this whole thing all the way through, because I assure you it will haunt you for the rest of your life.
Is it weird that I'm haunted more by the imagery here than by the actual music?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm a jelly bear. I'm a gummy bear. This is the thing that my niece sent me when she was 12 years old, and I've hated her ever since. Because I couldn't get it out.
In your head. Yeah,
I love Cassie, if you're listening, Cassie.
After 2 hours of babysitting my grandson, I'm ready to, expose state secrets, give away the formula for Coca-Cola or whatever, just because it just drives my brain so bad. All the music that they listen to, all the cartoons.
The secret of Coca-Cola is Coca-Cola.
Yeah. So let's see. I took a look at. Okay, there's
Orge.
a guy.
Sorry.
Hey, Orge. God, was Orge in here about the cold slabs when I did the cold slab thing?
No, he wasn't. Remember, we were going, man, we sure need a geologist in here, and we were wishing for Orge.
Yeah, they keep bringing up the cold slabs thing. What's that all about?
Yeah, well, we talked about it on the weather report. I went and looked it up, right, and figured and there's a bunch of papers on it. And what's happening is that the slabs are being pulled down into the mantle, and the mantle is not liquid. It's not molten rock.
Right.
What happens is the crust tends to go down toward the core of the Earth, and it starts folding into ribbons. And it takes about 50 million years for these things to heat up so they're still about 1700 degrees Fahrenheit colder than the rest of the mantle down around the core, right? And they found this with seismographs. And the creationists are saying, oh, well, if they broke off millions of years ago, they'd be melted already. But they're thinking about a bowl of soup. They're not thinking about something the size of the Earth. And they're not thinking of slices of crust that are kilometers thick, and so they insist that but anyway, one of the theories of plate tectonics, and I think the most popular one now, is that mantle or that crust that's folding down in that ribbon pulls the rest of the crust with it. So
slab pull.
Yeah, so it's slab pull, and I had some good diagrams of it, and the creationists don't get it. I mean, it's an ongoing process, and it's like inches a year, so it's all happening very slowly. But it takes a long time for everything to equalize in the mantle, So again,
just on that note, it's interesting you brought up slab pull, because you always have the idea that the plates are driven by
the push,
convection currents in the mantle.
Yeah. Well,
when it's kind of more complicated than that.
Yeah, there's another paper I read that said between those two models that there's truth in each of them, and the reality is a lot more complicated than
right.
That.
Yeah, you can think of the Earth as like a giant kind of heat equalizer machine, and its different aspects manifest itself in different places, like the gravitational forces and the heat-driven forces, and that's how you get these different phenomena. So I think that's a pretty good view.
Yeah.
And there's insulation happening, like at the ends where, like, bread, you have like this hard surface on the outside from being too hot.
Yeah, I wonder how long it takes.
Like insulates the inside.
I'd like to see it like either
space is really cold, so the heat wants to get all out there.
So who's that guy? Mr. Wilford. He would be a good one to do a calculation on how long it would take a slab of a certain thickness to heat up, to the surrounding temperatures. How long would it take, take that to equalize and melt? And it isn't going to melt anyway. Because it's just going to kind of ribbon down and eventually it'll probably blend at the bottom, but I don't think it melts.
Like when people
it just gets recycled.
Like hamburgers or steaks and stuff, they have to have it at a certain temperature, or it'll be like too raw in the middle if you don't do it right.
I don't understand. Too raw.
Like if you cook it too hot, it creates this hard shell of burnt meat and stuff, and it makes it raw if you don't do the right timing.
That's how you cook.
Right temperature. I mean,
that's how you cook meat. You got a 1600 degree grill Fahrenheit, and you drop it on for 30 seconds on each side, and then you eat it.
With butter.
Yeah, you put butter on it too. Put butter on that.
And you want to make sure that your hamburger's like thinner too, and because if you make it too thick, it won't get cooked either.
Right.
Oh,
that's true.
So I don't know how
with a hamburger. How about a kilometer size of dirt and rocks and stuff?
Because heat takes time to travel, so that's to all equalize.
I don't know how well you can see your screen, Andrew, but this is one of those phylogenies of transposons that I was talking about.
Can you zoom in a teensy bit?
Oh, I could try. Let's see.
There you go. Oh. Control transposon.
Let's see. I go over here. Okay, it starts out, the root, and then they've got, I don't know, I'd have to read the paper to figure
So
out.
this is like how one transposon kind of evolved into the other.
Yeah, the hats, the ATs. So
yeah,
shows that. And then here's another phylogeny. Is that a phylogeny? No, that's an amount.
No.
Let's see, okay, let me see. So that's okay. There is another phylogeny. Basically, that's kind of a classification system for transposons for all the different kinds.
Okay.
And transposable elements, and we have class 1 and class 2. Class 1 copy themselves by first copying into RNA and then reverse transcribing the RNA into DNA. And class 2 cut out a piece of DNA and move it somewhere else, or cut it out, copy it, and move it somewhere else. There's a couple of different kinds. And what the kind that Standing for Truth loves to talk about are basically what it would be. There's like LTR, okay, long-terminal repeat transposons, the LTRs, and that's where you get the human endogenous retroviruses up here. And then we have lines and signs, and lines are autonomous. They can do their own copying. They have the information in them, or the proteins in them, that will allow them to copy themselves. And signs do not. They're non-autonomous. So signs are things like ALUs. And this is sort of the classification. And then there's the DERS-like and the Penelope-like. And if you look across the entire eukaryotic kingdom, they're just filthy with these things, these transposons. And they form really nice, they do phylogenies. Like this is a really intense one. I'm not sure if zooming in is going to help. I think the drawing is pretty bad on that one.
I guess these would be gene trees, right? Because they looking at phylogeny of genes, not species.
Right, and here's another one. Basically, I think they're class 1, class 2, and I think these are for plants. Or no, they show. Oh God, what am I doing? Okay,
what was that other one?
Down on the bottom, they show. Let's see if I can go on the bottom. They show the species. Basically, primates and human are blue. So those are the blue ones, and those are the ones that are present. And these things are related. If they do a phylogenetic analysis on them, on the genes, on the sequences, they'll come up with these relationships. So they're almost like a zoo of animals that are, and we are their ecosystem. They're living inside of our genomes, which is kind of cool when you think about it.
Right.
And the neat thing about them is that most of them, like there's only 3 that are active in humans. Line 1, I think it's is it SVA and ALUs are the only ones that are still working. The rest of them have mutated beyond the ability to jump, so they can no longer jump around.
Yeah.
But there's tens of thousands of copies of them all over our genome, taking up 50% of our genome, taking up, I think, 98% of some plants. 98% of their genome is transposons. And the thing is that they've been around, it looks like, over 300 million years or more. And they have had that much time to mutate and evolve. And then where they came from is, almost lost in mutation. It's very, very hard to figure out where they go back. But you can figure out some things. And the genes match up some of the current retroviruses, regular
is that pretty much because they've been mutated, so the deeper relationships have kind of been obscured?
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And this is a picture of so the creationists have a theory called the Weige theory, or variation inducing genetic elements. And they believe that God put all of these transposons into the genome in Adam and Eve. And that he did it because they all have function, which there's absolutely no evidence for. I've got some numbers, and it's like 0.01% of them are even transcribed, let alone have function. But they end up having function because they will jump, like they can jump into the middle of an exon, and they can either kill a protein or they can change the protein into a new kind of protein, right?
Yeah.
Or they can jump into the middle of an intron and not do anything or cause alternative splicing of a protein. Or they can jump into the upstream area of a gene, and
Like
they can
promoter,
and they can change the regulation of the gene.
Yeah.
Or they have a lot to do because they most of them, some of them are GC rich and some of them are AT rich, right? So the GC rich ones, they get highly methylated and they become heterochromatin instead, which is non-functional DNA, DNA that doesn't get transcribed. So they have a lot to do. They can have something to do with making an entire section of the genome so that it is no longer transcribed. So they have had a big part in evolution. These jumping genes as they move around.
Don't they also have a role to play in like duplication events? Or
yeah, that's the other thing, is that some of them tear off a little bit of DNA with them and duplicate that and cause that to duplicate with it. And pseudogenes, when all the proteins from active transposon like line 1, right? When they get transcribed in the nucleus, and then of course they get processed, and they end up out in the cytoplasm where they hit the ribosomes and they turn into proteins. Well, then they form this little complex with some RNA, and they'll form a little complex of about 3 proteins, and these things will attach on to the mRNA that created them. So they grab their own mRNA. So the protein grabs the mRNA that the protein was created from. And then it's imported back into the nucleus, and it is pasted into the genome somewhere. So that's how they work. Now, there are other things like signs, which don't have their own proteins, that manage to slip in there and steal that little particle, that transcription particle. They steal it from the line, and they go ahead and end up in the nucleus, and they end up copying themselves in. And even worse than that, there are some mRNAs that belong to just regular genes that have the introns spliced out, okay? And they will steal one of these particles, go back into the nucleus, and copy themselves in, and then we have that pseudogene class of transposon. What do they call them? Let's see. I always forget terminology. Oh, let's see. Are they Penelope-like? Okay, that isn't the one. This is the one right here. Nope. I can't find it. I can never find what I'm looking for when I want it. I hate that. There's like Penelope signs, LTR transposons. That ain't the one that has them. I'll get it eventually. Is it up here in my diagram? This is a nice diagram of how, this is class 1 on the left, and this is class 2 on the right. And here we have the ALUs, which are signs right here. You can see my cursor, right?
Yeah.
And then we have lines right here, and there's line 1. And then over here we have the endogenous retroviruses. Of course, we have the ERV, which is a human, and that's one. They found one example, or a couple of examples where that has function. So this is a really good diagram. And I have a paper, 10 things you need to know about transposons. I should probably put the name of it in the description. This is where this diagram comes from. And it's a really good classification. And they do not have the pseudogene class. I'm trying to find that.
Could you post it on my site?
I could. Well, the thing is, I'm doing a lot of studying right now. And because I have 180 papers on transposons that I have to read.
Oof.
Yeah. Okay. And here's what viruses look like. So these are actual viruses that aren't transposons. They aren't in our genome, right? They're outside. These are the things that attack us.
Ooh, I like that picture.
Yeah. And these are basically, they have a coating. And what they do is they come in and they do it's through a number of different mechanisms. Some of them, which are similar to transposons, they manage to copy their DNA.
Yeah.
And then they put a capsule around it, and they get out. They break the cell, or kill the cell, or get out of the cell, and they end up spreading. And that's how viruses work. Now, this theory, there are three different theories about how viruses actually formed to begin with. And we're talking about viruses outside of humans, right? And one of them is that they sort of evolved separately. Another is that they were prokaryotes and they lost function until they just became parasites. Another one was that they were inside of eukaryotes and they somehow acquired the ability to build these capsules and all these complicated shapes you see here inside of us, and then they escaped. And I think some people like that theory, but I don't know why, because it seems to me there would have to be a whole lot of evolution to go from a transposon, which only has replication and hardly anything else, to these complicated viruses that, have all these coatings and means of attacking and stuff like that. But
my guess would be probably each happened in different lineages.
Yeah, these things.
There probably wasn't just one origin for all of them, because probably, well, as I understand it, all viruses don't come from a single source.
Yeah.
Or root.
There's another theory that they came up that viruses basically evolved first, and then all other life evolved afterwards. So going all the way back to abiogenesis, that it was virus first. It's called the virus first hypothesis.
Right.
The creationists believe in this Vige hypothesis, or variation-inducing genetic elements, that God put them there, and then they escaped and became viruses. But now SFT does this continual. He's got this blurb about how we can't live without viruses, right?
Right. There's so many of them. There's more viruses in our body than cells, or is that what he says?
Yeah.
Which may be true. I don't know. But
I forget.
Well, I mean, just how can, because like viruses are pretty picky when it comes to what host they go after. So those can't like be going after all the mean bacteria or stuff like that. It is what I think he says, but that I don't feel like that can work.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that what he's talking about is he's talking about ecology, right? You have a bunch of living things inside of us, on us, and around us, and we form an ecosystem with viruses and bacteria, and we have good bacteria, but some of the good bacteria would grow to basically they would multiply too much and they would hurt us. So there are some viruses that attack them, or bacteriophages that attack them and hold them down a little bit. So there's this entire ecosystem, this balance, right? And if it gets out of balance, you get really sick. And so he's making a thing of that. But no, the thing that he just glossed.
Yeah, not all viruses are bacteriophages.
Yeah, right. And then, well, the thing that he glosses over, he kind of implies that, okay, God created the viruses inside of our genomes, the genomes of all mammals and whatever eukaryotes. And then they escaped and they became free-living viruses. Well, how did Adam and Eve survive without viruses? He makes a point that we need viruses to survive, right? Well, if Adam and Eve were created with transposons and they later on escaped, how in the fuck did Adam and Eve live? Because they wouldn't have had viruses, right? And the other problem is viruses eat bacteria and bacteria eat viruses, and both of those things eat us. And none of those things, all of those things involve death, and there was not supposed to be any death before Adam and Eve.
Well, also some viruses attack other viruses.
Yeah. So,
it seems that creationism itself is evolving rapidly because, 10 years ago, you would never heard anything about this.
Vige theory.
Yeah. And so we need to do a phylogenetics of creationist teachings to see which ones speciated out into a new from a new variation. So there's just a lot of stuff to keep up with, and they just keep ad hocing it right and left. Once again, when you have to add too many ad hocs, your theory may be in a little bit of trouble.
Bit of trouble. Yeah.
They have no model. So,
in all seriousness, no, if someone were to actually do a phylogenetic analysis on that, they wouldn't probably get anything meaningful.
Yeah, maybe.
But that's going into the technical side of it.
They read all of the current papers, and they look for cherries. They look for things they can pick, and then they make a big deal every time science changes their mind about something. Or like the example I just read on creation.com, they were talking about, scientists were wrong about how long ago the mammoths lived or went extinct, and they changed it from 13,000 years to 6,000 years, and they were going on about how bad that was and how wrong science was. So they're reading all the current stuff, and they keep incorporating it. But the reason why they have spent so much time on viruses and endogenous retroviruses is because these things are just slam dunk evolution, and they fucking hate them. So they have to come up with a story. So what I wanted to do is try to figure out what the story really is. And the reason I put Donny Dufus in the title is I was hoping that SFT would come over here and come in here and explain it to us, because I want to fucking know, if God put transposons in Adam and Eve, where did the viruses come from? They escaped from our genome. When did they do that? Post Apple, pre Apple, post flood,
when, what, where, how, why? All these questions.
Yeah, I have questions. So anyway, I would like him to come and explain he's always complaining that we don't understand their model. Well, right. I really want to understand this model. Oh my God.
Sorry. I just had to share that. I just got that one.
Nice.
Ain't he cute? Yeah, he's the cutest.
So cute.
Sorry about that. I'm really misusing my my status and power as a partner in the effort that is Answers in Atheism.
Oh, and like my playing the gummy bear thing was not a misuse of my power.
Well, it's your channel.
It's still a misuse of my power.
Yeah, the grandkids have been just like ramping up the cuteness this week. Every day I've been sent dozens of pictures of them just being insanely cute.
Speed is better than some channel owners I've seen. He has a code of honor.
I do have a code of honor.
He's a man of honor.
Except for, we canceled Gur streams.
Well, yeah.
In the side chat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Gurrs out there.
Or should I say one of the Gurrs?
One of the Gurrs.
Yeah. There's Gur, and then there's the fake Gur.
Yeah. Gur
so I think he's starting a live stream at 5:45 or something like that, 6:45 Eastern Standard Time.
Oh, okay.
Am I correct about that, Gur? If you're listening,
could be.
I guess I could go look it up.
Should we let Gur in?
Yeah, well,
he said 6:45. I'll put this link out there, and maybe
all right,
Gur Master will join us.
I sent Gur an invite just so that I could cancel him.
Yeah, a canceling invite.
Canceling invite, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a link with.
I invited you to tell you that you're canceled.
So I reached out to Peter. I reached out to Peter and asked him if he wanted to come in and talk about the State of the Union or state of the atheist community. And he mentioned Gur streams again, that basically he's one of the people that Peter just cannot handle. And I don't know why. I don't get it. And I'm going to have to put Peter and Gur together and moderate a conversation between them so that I can figure out why Peter is so mad at Gur. I can understand why he's mad at Steve McRae. I can understand why he's mad at, I don't know, the other people he listed. But I do not understand. Huh?
Is he still mad at Otangelo?
I think he mentioned him too, yeah. Yep.
Otangelo was still around?
But the thing is that this fucking fight, I mean, do we want to turn into Praise? Praise's channel? Starts
Mm.
No.
amongst atheists, just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know. So, standing for truth, let's play a little bit of the debate.
Oh dear.
Many modes of transportation have 4 tires, and those tires being made out of rubber.
Cars.
Wow, Chevys, Hondas,
No.
and Fords must share a common ancestor.
Oh,
Maybe they inherit
No.
I
argument
know. I had to do it
had
to
to
you.
do with
I had to
You
do
did
it to
that for me, didn't you?
you. That for
That's
you.
right. We're torturing young
Torture.
Andrew.
Yeah, I even found.
Does
I'm sorry. He brings that up. I immediately go,
I
that
know.
is just terrible.
It's like SFT thinks that cars can reproduce themselves.
He does it
Yeah.
about
There's
4
that.
times.
There's XYZ. There's a million things wrong with it. I just hate it.
He does it about 4 different times on his stream, and
Oh,
what's
boy.
even cooler is this. Let me show you this. I found this on creation.com. You're gonna love this, Andrew.
Oh,
This
dear.
is just for you, man. Let's see. Where's Chromall? Chromall? What happened? That is Chromall. Oh, no. Yeah, okay, I had Chromall. Okay, where is that? Right, look at this. They did their own phylogeny of cars.
Yep. The car phylogeny.
So the 18-wheeler evolved from the light truck, which evolved from the automobile. But this doesn't look like a tree, does it? It looks more like a straight tree.
No, they're hopelessly linear, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks pretty linear, but it all evolved from a unicycle. So, and these things, apparently they give birth and they have mutations and evolution, I guess. I don't know.
What about rollerblade or roller skates? Do they have their own separate?
It should have been before that.
Or just wheels on the floor.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, maybe he's past the car thing. Let's check.
endogenous retroviruses. So let's get into that. A couple visuals though. I'm a visual learner, so
no, he's got the cars again. I didn't
Is
know
my
that.
audio still okay, by the way?
Yeah, your audio is really
It's
good.
lagging.
Very fine audio.
Okay.
It's really good.
Here, as you can see, thousands of similarities in all types of modes of transportation. Humans design in homologous patterns, nested hierarchies. The fact that humans share more with the chimpanzee than humans share more with the lizard. Okay, just standing back and looking at the physical features, looking at the phenotype, for example, you can predict that, yes, let's just say we're looking at genetics or hierarchies in genetics. Yeah, of course, we're going to predict or expect more similarities between the human and the chimpanzee than between a human and a mouse. Okay, the evolution, well, we share more with the human than we do with the mouse. And of course, both creatures are mammals, but it's because we share a more distant ancestor. Chimpanzees are our closest cousin. We split more recent than the common ancestor we would have with a mouse. And the differences are time, differences that have accumulated. Okay. But the fact is, what we see is hierarchical patterns in modes of transportation. A sedan, by definition, just stand back and look.
Hold on, please pause.
Okay.
Isn't he just imposing a hierarchy?
Yeah.
That is correct.
Whichever one, because we're talking about endpoints with evolution. In other words, as things are today, and then we look backwards because as things go through time and through the layers and everything. But they're just saying we want to end with this particular vehicle, and therefore, we're putting up a
Well, this is the central issue, because you can impose a nested hierarchy on pretty much anything. Doesn't mean the hierarchy is objective or meaningful in any way. And they miss this point completely. I've said it like a million times, and either they don't want to listen or they just don't get it. Because you can have a nested hierarchy, like I said, in pretty much anything. What matters is that hierarchy. Is it naturally flowing from the data? And they probably accuse of circular reasoning or something, but there are robust statistical methods to determine how hierarchical your nested hierarchy is, how objective it is, basically.
Right. And
Where does the helicopters, or where do helicopters fit in? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. I noticed that question, Top Dog. It's a really sharp question.
And the other thing that they want to say is,
sorry, just one more thing. Like I was watching a video the other day, and they were talking about this car analogy they keep using, and he made a good point, and I like this video because he makes the point. Okay, all I have to do is find a car with 3 wheels, and the whole objective nested hierarchy thing with cars falls apart. Well, guess what? We have vehicles just like that. So,
apparently he doesn't go ATVing much because there's those 3-wheel ones as well as they have the.
Oh no, this was an atheist. I think he was making a point.
Oh.
In that picture I showed you, they did have a 3-wheeled motorcycle as the ancestor of the car.
What?
So it went from 2 wheels, 1 wheel to 2 wheels to 3 wheels to 4 wheels to 18 wheels. So there again, they're showing their ignorance in thinking that things have to get more complex and more, better and better and better.
Well, yeah, because now all I have to show is a car with 3 wheels with a internal engine the same as a car with 4 wheels.
Right.
And the nested hierarchy again falls apart. It just doesn't work.
What about drones?
The other thing, if we take a gene that has nothing to do with our limbs or morphology, nothing to do with our outwardly visible phenotype, okay, like something having to do with metabolism, we can find a phylogeny where frogs are far different than chimpanzees from us, right? Why is that when the gene produces a protein that does exactly the same thing?
Right. You can have different genes. Like, why aren't they just mixed up? Like, why do different parts of the genome have to be correlated with each other in this particular way?
Right. It was like God used a dull pencil and he copied, and he first of all did frogs, and then he made a bunch of mistakes, and then he started out with chimpanzees, and then he made a few more mistakes, and he ended up with humans, but he kept making additional mistakes in a hierarchical pattern. Whereas if a creator, an omnipotent creator, were to create a frog and a chimpanzee and a human, he would have done each completely separate, just the way we see with the design of cars. When humans design cars, they take all of the available knowledge we have currently, like the engines, right? They're going to put in the very best engine, most current engine and smart electrical system and all of that. And then they're going to add on whatever they need for functionality on that vehicle. Well, why didn't God do that? Why did God's pencil, why was God's pencil dull and he didn't have an eraser? Because once he made a mistake, a mutation back in frogs, and ended up copied forward, it just doesn't make any sense. I don't know.
I mean, the car analogy, just one last thing. The car analogy is also phonetic in the sense that it's based on just overall, I guess what you called physical similarity. And it should be obvious to anyone with an understanding in phylogenetics that's not how it works. So just a million things wrong with it, but whatever.
He keeps
I'm not mad.
Like, he's so certain of himself. He's more of a preacher than he is a thinker.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, he just spins his wheels.
He's taken. Yeah.
Hey, Andrew, stop making sense.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Midnight.
Hello.
Talking about not making sense. Midnight's here.
Oh,
wow.
I will also say Jason is in the chat. Hey, Jason.
I just want to inquire, Midnight.
Yes.
What is new? What is new? We need the news. Tell us.
Well, I got a wooden crate to render in my program.
Oh,
that I've been writing.
Oh, good. We need more simulated crates, I think, out there in this world.
That's funny. But no, I've just been I don't know. Everything's fine. Everything's gay. Everything's beautiful.
Yep.
Everything is beautiful. I'll quit singing.
Hey, Jason.
I was just
Jason.
about to say, wouldn't it be good if Jason entered and just spiced up the stream with science? Nope,
Yes.
here he is.
Spicing us with science. Ooh.
What's up, guys?
Spicy science.
Can you hear me?
Jason.
I can hear you. You sound great.
Jason.
Midnight.
You hear me?
Yes, I can.
You're a degree snob. Okay.
No.
That's old news. Midnight. Everybody knows that.
We got to have one in here.
So, Jason, what's new in your area of expertise?
Well, I already see something new. Where's your headphones?
I'm using like earbuds. I got tired of having
okay.
the big ass things on my head. So I'm
Yeah, your
using
head
this,
is much more narrower than I remember. So.
I've been using this boom mic. I don't know if the quality's any better or not. But yeah, things are okay. I actually I spoke to a newspaper about some of my work and trying to get some other analysis done. So it's COVID work. Like COVID.
Are you talking about last night's after show, Roy? Or I don't know which after show that was.
The after show where you were, I don't know.
Like, was I actually on it, or
I
please
don't know.
clarify.
I'm just joking.
You were
Oh
on
no,
Maddox,
yeah, came from the side chat.
you were on Maddox's stream for a few minutes one night, and then you left.
Yeah, once I realized that he was gonna make the whole stream about. Oh, okay. Was it last night's stream? Okay. Yeah. Once he, I think it was Mark came in, and just pretty much the first half or so of that stream was Mark is dumb about X, and that's pretty much it. And that kind of I couldn't deal with that. It was just annoying.
It was.
But I'm Mark. My name is Mark.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm being
Was it
stupid
different,
today.
Mark?
Hey, is Gert having a stream later? I forget.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Over there. I was on Gur streams last night. We were talking about atheism a little bit.
Yeah, and he wouldn't invite me in, the little asshole.
I was on. Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I told him not to.
Wow. Okay.
No, I didn't. It wasn't me. He just wanted to keep the room small, which is understandable.
Yes, he's just trying to make it not such a wild show, not such a shit show. So I support Gura and what he does. I'm glad he got some new equipment. I'm just happy for everybody. Is everybody doing okay?
Do you support me in what I do?
Oh yeah,
I support you in what you do.
Making wooden crates on your computer. I support that.
That's what this world needs is more faithful renderings.
Yes.
I mean, dude, I was using Direct 3D to do a little 3D programming practice.
That's
You're
good.
doing
Keep it
this
practice.
in C++?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Kind of changing the subject a bit. Has anyone ever looked at the history of dinosaur art?
Dinosaur art?
Oh,
Yeah, there's a history behind it.
Okay, there's a channel where he shows how people get it wrong, or how they've gotten it wrong.
Your dinosaurs are wrong.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's pretty good. Yeah.
Well, I really, I think if I had all the money and all the time in the world, I would really love to learn as much about, the way bones are supposed to fit together, and then just go around to museums and just observe the differences between various species.
Would you set up? Would you set up for all the time in the world?
Would I set up for having all the time in the world?
Yeah. Will you set up for that?
What would that look like?
Yeah, I would have to. I would have to contemplate that.
If
really
you got
would.
all the time in the world and you put it in your garage, what would it look like? That's an interesting.
It would look like an hourglass.
And would you have to go to like Costco and get those huge Rubbermaid looking crates to put it in?
Yeah, all the time in the world.
You guys suck. You know that.
I'm imagining it, man. I'm walking with you down this trail.
I should put
Before
turbo.
midnight.
Midnight, you're just sparking imaginations. And what does that say? Midnight sparkle. You're sparkling our imaginations. You're making them fire and think different thoughts.
Good. You use your imagination. Use your imagination, Scott. The imagination is the most powerful thing humans have.
It really is.
Yes.
No, 18-wheeler trucks are.
Oh, apparently we looked at the diagram. You're right, Speak. I am corrected.
The most
People say
Did you just call him?
science
Hold
doesn't
on,
involve
Scott. Did you just call him Speak rather than Speed? You called him Speak.
I might have.
I heard you.
Squeak.
I might have.
Speak of sound.
Yeah.
Squeak of sound. Ooh.
Yep.
Well, gosh, I'm just hoping that the Batman turns out to be a good show this weekend.
Yeah.
It's almost 3 hours. It's right, like maybe 4 minutes shy of being 3 hours or something like that.
Our cases are down to 800 a day in Minnesota, down from 15,000. So maybe we could go to a theater. I don't know. Not sure.
Well, I've been picking like days where people are least likely to go. And the last few times I've gone publicly to a movie, and I don't do it a whole lot. It's just I timed it well. There was hardly anybody in the theater, and the ones that were there were way across in other seats.
So, Jason, how long would it take a crustal slab descending in the mantle to end up to the same temperature as the mantle? How would you calculate that?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean,
and you're talking about like the bottom part of it, because there's a whole
these guys were claiming
fun size Hershey bar or whatever that is at the top. So
they're claiming 50 million years.
I mean, you could probably do some napkin math on it, because I mean, my understanding is that the typical time is around 10 centimeters a year. And if you knew what the exact depth to the mantle was, and then you made some rough estimate on what the angle is of the subduction slab, that you could come up with like a generalized estimate of the time that it would take to go from the entrance to reaching the mantle, if that makes any sense. I don't know what the distance is, what the classical distance is to the mantle. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, and how thick are the slabs? Like 20 kilometers or?
Well, it depends, because oceanic and continental crust is different thickness.
Man, that Andrew's a smart science guy.
I have a playlist on geology.
Well, cool.
Depth of the mantle.
It's in my forum.
So let's see.
So mantle extends to a depth of 3,000 kilometers. It's probably the upper mantle. Let's see. Upper mantle extends from the crust to a depth of about 255, 300 miles. So I don't know. I'd have to think about it, but
heavy math.
You can essentially just like a triangular calculation of like the depth to the mantle. And if you know that per year, you're essentially trying to calculate the hypotenuse, what that distance is, and then make the time calculation with the assumption that every year is 10 centimeters. So then you would be like, divide it by, whatever, like 0.1 meters, which would give you the number of years.
That makes sense.
I mean, again, that's a rough calculation. I'm sure there might be some literature that can cite that time, but that's how I would calculate it.
Yeah, well, SFT and the others are claiming that as the crust slips down into the mantle, that it's doing so, at an inch a year or something like that, or a few inches a year, and that it should melt right away. And the mantle is not molten, for one thing. It's more of a like big plastic jelly thing.
It's ductile.
Ductile.
Well, I mean,
That's a neat picture.
I mean, what is he thinking that like if it melts immediately? I mean, how far down have humans gone? Humans, I mean, not that far, but like I don't know how many miles humans have gone down. Like we haven't gone down to like the mantle or like anything like that. I mean,
Yeah, but we have
think it's like
seismograph.
7 kilometers or miles, or don't quote me on that. Only like a few miles at most, like the deepest mines.
Okay, the 2006 paper I read they did seismographs and they found colder slabs down around the the boundary between the mantle and the core. So they found slabs, huge slabs that are curling down there, basically. And they found out that they were, I think, 1,700 degrees cooler than the surrounding. And I think they said it took 50 million years for that to happen or something like that. But hard to say. But the geologists don't seem surprised by this, but the creationists are like, no way it would have to melt right away, right? Within a few thousand years. And I think they're wrong about that. Somebody needs to fact check them on this shit.
Everybody should fact check everybody. Speed.
And then the other thing, they claim Baumgartner made a prediction that they'd find cold slabs. And I don't think Baumgartner actually made that prediction. What he was talking about is he had a model for how the fountains of the deep cause the continents to divide real rapidly. And I don't think he made any predictions about cold slabs that we would find. But they insist that he made a prediction and it came true. So that's their narrative. They've got a lot of narratives.
So do you.
I do. I narrate all the time.
Speaking of fact checking, I guess
They're just stories. They're just stories, Speed.
Yep.
Stories.
I like stories. Okay, you were going to say, Andrew?
Yeah. So Jason, I think this is a good question one can ask, because in my mind, skepticism or like good skepticism isn't just believing what someone says, and neither is it like questioning everything all the time, right? But I want to hear your thoughts on that.
I'm sorry. All right, say that again. I was typing something with somebody in Slack.
Yes. So I guess what do you think good skepticism means? Like, is it on either extreme or
somewhere in the middle? Is what he's saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's correct. I mean, I think that the people can have a healthy level of skepticism. However, just like what we've discussed previously, to be skeptical of everything, to refute everything, even in the face of huge amounts of evidence to the contrary, I don't think that's healthy. I don't think it's healthy if you have a huge body of literature that supports a particular position, and to throw out that information just to say I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical that the Earth is actually round. I'm skeptical that the sun. I think that the sun is a big coin in the sky. I'm skeptical that it's anything other than that. I mean, obviously when things start to encroach upon science that has been shown to be, like, again, we can't prove things to 100%.
It's like really reliable.
Correct.
That's why you always say most likely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you asking about skepticism in science, or skepticism kind of as a position you take just as you manage your life? Because
I guess more the scientific, like what we deal with here in this community. I guess is what I mean.
Yeah, there's no reason to not ask a person who's presenting information about their sources and to critique them about the quality of their sources.
Right.
Where do you get that information? How do you know that?
Yeah, the other thing I was getting at real quick was, like, creationists always asking, or I mean, like, people maybe in general always asking, well, you need to be more open-minded on these scientific questions. And in my mind, in relation to skepticism, being open-minded doesn't equate with being gullible in that sense.
Yeah, and there's a we walk in a I don't know, we walk down a path of varying degrees of background information, and so when I get an email that says click on this and you'll get 20% off your next credit card bill or something like that, I know to be skeptical, because I know that if you click on a link in your email, chances are you're going to get phished or scammed or have a virus or something attempt to be put on your computer. So you based on your background knowledge to be skeptical of certain claims.
Like how extraordinary the claim is, in a sense.
And also you might want to say, instead of saying I'm going to be open-minded, okay, I will attempt to increase my background knowledge of the subject, or you may have already studied the subject and say, well, according to all the studies I've done, your claim just needs more support,
Right.
That's a healthy skeptical attitude, and there's no real criticism of it, other than you're not following a socially acceptable trend.
Yeah, in my mind, the way I define skepticism, or healthy skepticism, is I don't believe what you say unless you give me good evidential reason to, or at least in a general sense like that.
Yeah, if somebody's trying to tell you Bigfoot exists, or if somebody's trying to tell you that cars, you can't distinguish cars from beetles on actual beetles, insect beetles, on a phylogenetic tree or whatever, then.
Well, here's a good question. Like, if you're somebody and you have zero knowledge in a particular area, and somebody that has expert knowledge in that area comes and says, based on our work, this is our view, and you say, I'm skeptical of that. The person's like, well, you can be skeptical of that, but you're your skepticism isn't really worth anything, because you don't actually know whether what it means to be skeptical on this topic. You have an inability to actually evaluate the evidence presented to you. Somebody's like, I think the Earth is 6,000 years old. I have zero knowledge of geology. I have zero knowledge of biology, but I've read the Bible and I'm skeptical that the Earth is old. I think it's 6,000 years old. I'm skeptical of that. I could say, well, it's valid for you. If you want to be skeptical, that's fine. I don't think your skepticism is worthwhile to listen to,
So you're basically saying in order to be a healthy amount of skepticism, you also have to have a healthy background information or understanding of the subject.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to have a certain level of a priori knowledge on a topic. So as an example, if somebody comes to you, like what David was saying, he's like, he gets these emails and he's skeptical. That means that he has a certain amount of background knowledge of receiving certain emails and having an experience to say, based on my experiences, that of like getting scammed emails, I'm a little skeptical about clicking on this link, because I've seen other links that were fraudulent. If he had never seen an email before in his life and he looked at an email and he says, I'm skeptical of opening this, I'm like, why are you skeptical? You have no knowledge about those emaws. What leads you to that skepticism?
Point,
He's like, it came to me in a dream. That's not really appropriate skepticism in my view.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I just wanted to bring that up as it is an issue that comes up. But yeah, go ahead, Midnight.
No, I'm just making a joke. Sorry, but that well said, Jason.
Stephanie Trenton, if the chunk of lead you put into molten lead is 100 kilometers across, it's not going to melt instantly. Did you see the comment she had that basically if you put solid lead in molten lead, it melts instantly, and it doesn't melt instantly either. It takes a little while.
Why not just go and freeze a candy bar, and the fun size, and then the super king size once you get, and then just go put them in hot water and see how instantly it melts. Maybe it melts on the outside and gets softer, but on the inside, it's no change. It's based maybe on its mass.
Melts in your mouth, not in your hand. Ooh.
Oh, I love it when it melts in my hand. I can just let my hand. Never mind.
I like that too.
I need to call my eating disorder therapist.
I mean,
No.
you know what? I'm gonna Speed. How long are you planning on going on?
4 hours.
Yeah, at least 12 hours tonight.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna go and enjoy dinner.
Now,
Hopefully
we're
I'll see you. Hopefully I'll see you on Gur's stream, you little bastard. Hey Gur, if you're listening, you better let me on this time.
Let him on.
Yes. Anyways, bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye. Anyway, what else? What else is going on? I watched Kirk Durston. Do you know who that is?
Nope.
No.
Now, Kirk Durston is
Kirsten Durst. Never mind.
I think he's a molecular biologist, and he's done some really good work. He's done some really good papers on protein folding and a bunch of other things. But he does some really bad stuff on his YouTube channel.
Bad blogger.
He's a bad apologist. Well, he's a better apologist than most of them, actually. But he's I think, let me see if I can link this in my description. And where is it? Let me see here.
I think whether it's in the field of apologetics or just in your personal life, we all need to learn to apologize better.
Yeah, there it is, right there. So he had this little bit on today, I think it was. No, yesterday. He does something every week, but he's going on about apologetics and stuff. And
what's the title?
Does logic require a supernatural beginning of the universe? And he finds that it does. So he does this kind of like a Coulomb cosmological argument that basically the universe had to have a beginning, that sort of thing. And if it had to have a beginning, that it had to be a supernatural being. And he admits that it doesn't get you to his God, but it gets you to some kind of supernatural thing, right? And I don't know. Anyway, it's about 50 minutes long, and I listened to it, and I think I would like to spend a little time going over it at some point. There's only one part in here. Let me see. Where's it at? We'll just play a little sample.
Thing behind the scenes happening. Well, you can't really blame them.
No. In fact, I've thought this through for many, many years. And if I was truly an atheist and a materialist, I would be what's called a pragmatic atheist. But there's all different kinds of atheists. Some are like real thinking atheists that I really enjoy sitting down with and discussing with. Some are atheists by upbringing, which I was in the Ukraine for a month. The last year was still part of the Soviet Union. And they would always, many of them would come up, "Hi, how are you doing? I'm an atheist. I know nothing about God." We had a film about Jesus. Show us the film about Jesus.
Yeah,
I literally had the nice anymore. He's not going to play by the international rules anymore. And that ratchets us up one more. Now, if he's successful at that, then we can breathe easy. But if somehow things go wrong, then that's when an unhinged person can just do irrational things.
Yeah. And again, if all you care about and all you think this universe is made of is particles, and there's no such thing as a supernatural implication.
The universe isn't just made of particles.
Thing behind the scenes happening. Well, you can't really blame them.
No. In fact, I've thought through.
He's talking about not blaming Putin, because if Putin thinks we're just made of particles, then it doesn't matter if you kill a whole bunch of people. So this is the usual bullshit that, if atheists believe that we're just particles in motion, then we obviously can't care about anybody. We can't fall in love. We can't get excited about Batman. Nothing like that. I mean,
did you call him Putin?
Putin. I call him Putin.
Yeah. Okay. That's a kind of an insult, but that's good. Maybe he deserves the insult.
Yeah, he deserves that. I used to call him Putin, but yeah. No, he's
I suggest that this Sheldon Kotick guy just leaves the thinking like an atheist to the atheist because he's getting it all wrong.
Right. Yeah. Well,
When is atheist meant materialist? I'm confused.
These guys kind of freak me out when they say that they wouldn't have any morals if they weren't Christians. That scares the shit out of me. It's like I fully expect all human beings that I encounter to have some sort of moral decency. Otherwise, I would have to shoot them before I even, talk to them, right? As a default, you'd be afraid of other people. And I mean, I don't have to know what religion they are in order to trust them in Walmart. I mean, when I go shopping in Walmart, I don't have to card everybody and find out if they're Christians or they believe in a supernatural being before I lay down, put my guard down,
Hey, are you a Christian? Oh, no? Okay, go away.
Yeah. Just like, are you a Christian? If you're not a Christian, I'm going to have to shoot you because I'm afraid you're going to hurt me. You got no reason if you think we're just particles. They go on about this for an hour on this video. But anyway, I don't have a lot of timestamps on it, so I don't want to deal with it now. I think it might be an interesting discussion with the Spatchcock boys, and I like the Spatchcock boys. Sounds like a gang, doesn't it? Like an evil gang.
Sounds like someone you call in to get a mission done, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
They're like the Boondock Saints of atheism.
Yep. Does anybody have any question about ERVs and transposons and all that bullshit?
No, but I was noticing, I did a little search, 10 things you need to know about transposons. I can't find a video with that title anywhere. I think you need to jump on this.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I know how you are, Scott, but there's these things that are written, like they use words and letters, and they write it out, and it's not a video.
Yeah, I've heard of such things from those rock drawings in the outback of Australia that the Aborigines did. I've heard of things like that, but no, what I'm saying is you need to take that opportunity and come up with a video entitled, and then use that as your source material. But I think that would be doing a service to humanity.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm gonna put a link to that in my video description. It's something everybody should read on transposons if you want to know. So, okay, how about that?
Okay.
And I will put it in. I'm gonna put it in chat too. How about that? Public chat. There you go.
I like to chat with the public.
It is a very good little paper. But yeah, it's a paper. It's not a video, Scott. Sorry.
I understand. It's not a paper.
Sure? Are you sure you understand?
I understand.
Okay.
Do you have anything else today, Speed, or do you want me to bring some topics up? Or
yeah, you can bring stuff up. I'm about to shoot it in the head.
I'm setting the link. Well, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and put the link out, but it won't. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, go ahead, Andrew. You're welcome to bring stuff up.
Okay. Is Jason still? Where'd Jason go?
He's here.
He may have had to step away for a moment.
We just can't see him anymore.
Oh, he disappeared.
I'll check private chat.
I guess, I don't know. I was just thinking, like, with all the stuff I talk about phylogenetics, I wonder if people, like, think I'm being pedantic, or, like, if I'm making, like, a really subtle point here. Like, well, LPP was thinking that the other day, but if you know what I'm talking about. But
what does he get so mad at you when you bring it up?
I don't know. Well, my hypothesis, and it may be an arrogant hypothesis, but my hypothesis is that because he realizes I'm smarter at something than he is on a particular subject.
Because he doesn't understand it, and he can't. But he can't. Yeah, he has to talk about. Well, when he talks about information, he talks about information, but he doesn't really understand much about it.
Well, that's what he always defaults to. Because, like, when I don't understand something, he's like, "Oh, you need to go and read information theory," or whatever he says.
Yeah, and information theory isn't going to do shit for you when it comes to biology.
he almost thinks he knows it all.
Well,
So he
and
might change his mind.
he's still going after Godless Engineer because Godless Engineer said that the DNA isn't any more a code than a can of
Yeah,
Coke.
he keeps playing that clip, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
That is an old clip or an old thing. I
right.
talk about dwelling in the past.
And you know, he was trying to make a point, and his point was that it is chemistry ultimately. That whole, you know, the whole codon thing relies on those amino acyl tRNA synthetases, and if those weren't in the genome in exactly the way that they are, it would be a different code, and those things ended up in genome, and then we use those to translate the genome. And I don't know. If you want to call it a code, everybody calls it a code because it kind of fits the idea that we have for codes. But if you want to call it a code and mean that a human had to create it and there has to be a sender and a receiver, well then fuck you, you're wrong. Not a code in that sense.
It's not a code, therefore there's an intelligence kind of thing.
That form of code, which if you look at the dictionary, the top thing is to hide, basically create a message that not everybody can read, you know, a cipher, you know, to encode something. And I think that's the top definition of code. The second one is, I forget what it is. I don't know. Not sure.
Well, I see Sean Mock's in the chat. I wonder if he wants to come in.
Sean Mock.
Hey, Sean. Long time no see.
So, are scientific laws a code?
Yeah.
I
don't think so.
No. So, I mean,
I feel like they are.
That's the idea of what creationists think, that natural things that we have found out and turn it into something we can understand.
And we didn't discover scientific laws. We discovered regularities, and we did the math and the metrics to come up with scientific laws. I don't think we discovered scientific laws.
I have no idea why people keep saying that, like the laws of nature or something. Like they're just generalizations, as I understand it.
Yeah, regularities in the universe.
Oh, okay, no problem, Sean.
Oh. Anyway.
So imagine that going out with the fam on a Friday evening.
Yeah. I want to go out and watch my ice melt. I enjoy watching my ice melt in my backyard. Snow's almost gone in the woods, which is pretty cool.
You have snow?
Yeah, we're like 70 here today, so it's nothing like that.
You guys are so lucky.
We got like an inch of snow on the ground, but in northern Minnesota, where my family is from, where I'm from, they have something like 6 feet of snow on the ground. I mean,
it never snows here except in the mountains.
Yeah.
I envy you.
You wouldn't envy us for long if you got into it.
It
would get old real quick. That sucks.
Where are you, Andrew? Like what general area?
Southern California.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I'm on the other side where speed is.
Do you have water down there in Southern California?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Do you have trees?
Eventually, yeah.
Do you have any ongoing brush fires or forest fires?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, you used to have trees.
There are trees in like Big Bear, I think.
Now you got charcoal. Yeah.
Yeah, we got some burnt forests or I guess grasslands or just grass areas.
Yeah. That's going to hit us eventually here in Minnesota. It hits northern Minnesota all the time, the firestorms. But I was in one of those once. Holy shit, is that scary. We were checking. I was with my father-in-law because he was he worked for the electric company, and he was checking the state of the lines. And we were walking through a forest fire, and there were trees exploding all around us. I mean, they just blow up like pop, and pitch
Yeah.
flies. and
Water
then they-
vapor.
Yeah, and then like fire would come rolling in and just roll across a part of the woods, just like it was like somebody blew it in there. And I wanted to go home, but he was insistent on doing his job. I think he was testing me to see if I was worthy of his daughter, whether I was going to cut and run.
Well, I will say we do have one thing in California related to trees, or well, in a different area of California, but we have the tallest trees in the world.
Redwoods, yeah, Northern
Redwoods.
California, right?
Yeah.
How are they doing these days? Have you checked in on them?
I haven't been there in a while, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I was just wondering if they've been like diseased and dwindling in their population or whatever.
I think some of them are still protected. I know like the tallest of them is in like a protected area no one else knows about.
Oh, a secret area, huh? Cool.
Yeah, because it's a really tall tree, and you don't want to cut that down.
Oh, they don't want to tell anybody where it is?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
like only like 10 or something people know where it is.
You just look out over the horizon, and the one that's sticking up higher than the rest, that's where it is.
You think it'd be that easy?
Should be that easy. Should be that easy. Anyway, guys, what do you say we kill it today?
Well,
Okay.
yeah, let's kill it and start enjoying our Friday. If you want to look at something interesting, I guess maybe go over to Gur Streams. Does anybody
Yeah.
know what else is
Or
going
my
on this
website.
weekend? So what?
Or my website.
Yeah, or check
Yeah.
out Top Dog's site.
Become a
I
member.
gotta say,
Right.
Top Dog, your website is looking pretty cool. And it's got a lot of stuff on it, and people should actually start going there and checking stuff out.
Yep.
Looking
We have
good.
a whole bunch for top picks of the day today.
Ooh.
Yeah. If I ever got my mind
But I didn't put on it.
if I ever got my mind organized about any one subject, I would actually go and put something out there. But
I know
I
what you
don't
mean.
know.
Can be just one thing, and we can build upon it.
The thing is that every time I start trying to write something out or design a video, it's like I run into all these things that I don't yet know, and I got to dig
That's
into
why
it.
we learn together. That's what my forum's about. We can help each other figure it out. Find out what's the best. That's why I
Like
need
I got-
people to start actual posting.
Anyway, after I read those 180 papers on the transposons, I promise I'll do a video on it. After I know,
Okay.
I prefer to know what I'm talking about before I get too far into it. I don't know. There's so
I will
much to
say
learn.
my mind's like a phase every month or so. Like I move between different subjects.
Yeah, I
Go
call them.
mostly back from like biology to astronomy and back and forth.
Yeah, I've been that way all my life. I would get into something like for 4 months or for 4 weeks, and I would just get every book on the subject and had them open everywhere, and I was just all excited.
Yeah, exactly.
And then one day I'd wake up, and all of a sudden I was on to something else. And
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
well, I do that now. It's either ERVs or cell membranes or liver or population
That's right.
genetics.
Yeah.
It's just
I'm doing that right now.
Yeah. You
Try
doing
to go
pop
into
gen?
every subject. Yeah.
Are you doing pop gen in school?
Oh no.
Okay, you're doing it on your own.
I'm not really focusing on pop gen right now. I guess I could.
Pop gen is fucking hard. It takes a little discipline. It takes more discipline than molecular biology does.
Yeah. I'm actually
Andrew,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Are you gonna transfer to a university at some point?
I hope so.
Okay. I was just
I'm
curious.
in a community college right now.
Yeah.
Hey, I just put out a link to a new video from Useful Charts. It's called Oldest Bible Manuscripts. I haven't seen it myself, but it's interesting enough a topic that I'm going to just put the link out there. They usually do good charts.
I'll put that in my description.
All right. It just
And
popped
put
up
all
on my
your stuff.
notifications.
I put all your stuff in my description, Top Dog. I don't know if anybody ever looks at my descriptions. Nobody ever
Well, it's
comments
there.
on my
It's
videos.
there, and it's a repository available for the masses.
Okay, we've got to find a way to piss people off in our comment section so that we get some feisty commentary. What could we say?
I don't know.
I don't want to piss anyone off, though.
Or losers, maybe.
Putin's
I
a good guy. Putin.
Oh, I cannot bring my mouth to say those words or my fingers to type them. I'm pissed.
You know,
that was like. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I liked Russians, and I thought we should have worked more with Russians until this shit that happened 2 weeks ago, and now they can go fuck themselves. As far as I'm concerned, they can jump into the ocean. They have completely changed my mind about Russians. I mean, my family's, a lot of my ancestors live in Russia, but fuck them. Fuck them. I don't care if we
just
intelligence my anger is directed towards Vladimir. I think the Russian people aren't really so behind this. They just have been living in a regime that they have not backlashed against for whatever reasons.
Yeah,
so,
that's true. But I mean, I was even sort of liberal about dealing with the Russian state, and trying to at least bring them into the 21st century. But now, as far as I'm concerned, economic sanctions and stone them into the dark ages, as far as I'm concerned, after what's been done. If they can't get rid of that, I mean, they are responsible for who is leading them at some point.
Yeah, that's what the.
Like, I mean,
my dog is snoring in the background. Can anyone hear it? I'm just checking.
I cannot hear it.
Okay,
You're doing
good.
fine. You're doing okay.
I mean, imagine if we elected a criminal, selfish orange Smurf for president, for our leader, then we're responsible for the shit he does, right? We're responsible for that. So, as a country, I don't know.
We're getting in the stream now.
Okay, we're gonna end the stream now.
No. Look who's in the side chat.
What? Who's in the side chat?
Look.
Oh, Sanity Truth.
SFT. Yeah. He's just checking in to see if we actually talked about him.
We did.
SFT. He wants to talk to you about transposons.
Yeah, we want to know the creationist theory about viruses and how they started. So come in here and tell us.
Please.
You got 1 minute.
Well, that's no pressure.
Well, we're trying to either shoot it in the head or have further conversation. So
no,
we don't need to pussyfoot around it.
So Stanley, I would love to have you come in and do like just you and I and Scott, and go through and try to steel man the creationist idea behind viruses and transposons.
Yeah, most of the time I'll be looking at pictures of my grandkids, so it'll be like 1.5 to 1.
Right.
So why not me? Why not me with them?
Because if he comes in, we're not going to have a lot of people picking on him. We're just going to have the owners of the channel. That's what I meant. It'd be standing for truth as the only guest. So
yeah.
So anyway, if you want to come in, okay, yeah, I'll email you and we can set it up. We'll see if you got the cojones. He'll never do it. He'll never come in, but we'll try. I'll email you and
we'll try.
But I would like to come up with I've been looking at Peter Terborg's papers, and I would like to take that and extend the idea and figure out exactly what your position is on transposons. And now we're going to shoot it in the head.
Yes.
Okay.
But everybody have a great weekend, and if you get a chance, see The Batman, and we can critique it together at some point in the future.
Goodbye, something world.
Goodbye, cruel world. It is
Stay
cruel.
curious.
So cruel. I ran out of muffins. It's cruel. Okay, we're out.